Welcome everybody to a very special video out of my Luthier workshop. I was thinking about how to start this video because this is such a special one, and I have to admit I have no clue how to do that. So therefore I will keep it simple. I have built an electric guitar without electricity, just using traditional hand tools like that or that, on 50 different locations all over Europe. And this instrument is made out of one piece of solid walnut. This is a project that I had in my head for about 6 or 7 years now, and this summer I have made it happen. And what you're going to see now is the first part of the, I will call it GITFLIX series, where you can follow the whole process from the beginning till the end. All the suffering, all the happy moments, all the disasters that can happen if you're working just by hand out in the nature on the simplest way possible, building an electric guitar. So I hope you enjoy that. If you like it, please let me know. If you have any question, write it down in the comments. And now lean back, grab yourself a drink and enjoy the first part of my series, building an electric guitar without electricity.
And here is what you can expect in this first episode. First of all, I have to organize the wood, set up my first outdoor workshop. There will be a lot of planing, sawing and suffering, very hard physical work that you can see in this video to turn this piece of wood in something that looks a bit like a guitar. And it all begins in a little village in Croatia, in the old workshop of my uncle, who sadly passed away like 7 years ago, and he left me something very valuable for me. And this is in the attic of this building. Indeed, this is a very dirty attic, and I can tell you the smell reminds me on there are some creatures living here and having a good time. But for me as a luthier and a craftsman, this is better than gold. My uncle has cut down this tree in 1999, and since then it was stored in this old attic. So this means this piece of wood is air dried for about 25 years. And after inspecting the whole tree, I decided that this plank is gonna be the basic material of my building an electric guitar without electricity. Before I will cut this in half, let me share some thoughts about wood selection. And this is a very important point. And I'm an educated luthier, and in the school where I have learned it in Mittenwald, we have a special topic called wood selection. So you have seen me here looking maybe 1 minute at the wood. In reality, it took me like 1 hour to select the perfect piece of wood for this project. So this was the first cut of my project, and I'm sweating like hell because, and this is midsummer in Croatia, outdoors it's about 38 degrees and underneath the roof even more. After a short off-road trip, I arrived at my parents' house, and at this place I'm gonna set up my workbench. Actually, this is gonna be for a couple of days my first outdoor workshop place. Now I have to set everything up and start to work on my guitar. At this point, feel free to say hello to my workbench. This is going to be my workmate for the next couple of days. And I got this very special workbench from my friend Oliver. And if I correctly remember, his whole family was into carpentry for about 4 or 5 generations. This workbench has soaked in so much craftsmanship. And for me, it's going to be a great pleasure and a kind of an honor to start my guitar building project on this special workbench. Here is something very important that I'd like to explain to you before I shut up and let you enjoy this video. It's about how wood shrinks and how it behaves in the future. Actually, you have to read the wood. If you look at the annuals of this tree, it goes round like that. And they tend to stretch, so you can be sure if it bends in one direction, it will be like getting hollow in this shape. You have to keep that in mind if you're building an instrument, so you don't want to have a hollow top. It's not so bad to have a hollow back. I have to say that I'm pretty sure that this piece of wood that was air dried for about 25 years won't move in any direction anymore, but just to make sure I will flip the instrument around and make it upside down. And now I will shut up like promised and let you enjoy my workflow. If you have any question, feel free to let me know. If you haven't subscribed to this channel already, feel free to do so. This will really help me out making these videos. Thanks for your support. At this point, I would like to share some very important thoughts about this project. There will come up very time-consuming working processes like planning, sawing, carving, whatever, in this video and also in the upcoming videos. I don't want to stretch the watch time. This is not my intention. My intention is I want to show you how much effort and physical work you have to put in to build an instrument by hand. Back in the days, there were no CNC, no computers. And this was the only way to build an instrument. And keep in mind, it took me like 250 hours of pure handwork to build this instrument. And it's absolutely okay for me. If you, on certain situations that are not so interesting for you, just press the fast forward button. Totally okay. And if you ask yourself, why do I wear this overall? It's not because it's so comfortable and I'm a fashionable guy. It's because of the mosquitoes. In the area where my parents live and where I start my project, there are a lot of mosquitoes, and not to get bite like every day for about 100 times. I prefer working in an overall, but from time to time and from effort to effort, it gets so hot that I just have to skip that and get a little bit of fresh air on my skin. And that's the reason why I'm wearing this overall. So after chopping away a lot of wood from this log, and this log gets more and more handy, and I would say it looks a bit like a guitar. And if you ask yourself, why do I make so many cuts? It's because I want to release the tension in the wood, because this is a solid piece of wood. It's about 7 centimeters thick. If you do it just with one cut, it can happen that it bends in the one or in the other direction. So therefore, I choose this bit by bit method to make it sure. And if there is any movement in the structure of the wood, I can react on that. That's the reason why. You have surely noticed that this plank is quite wobbly, which is totally normal. When wood dries, it shrinks and it gets wobbly. It's not a straight edge plank. This is totally normal. So I will take my plane and try to plane one side of this plank, so it's easier for me to clamp it up into my workbench. And after I did this on the one side, I will flip the plank and try to do it on the other side. After planning this plank for hours, I consider that my plane is getting dull, and therefore I have to sharpen up the blade. So you can say, sharpen your blade, I don't want to see it, but it's part of the game, it's part of the build. And so I decided to show you how I sharpen my blades on a classical way. It's the whetstone method. You can use also oil stones. In this case, these stones are about 30 years old. I bought them when I started my apprenticeship as a luthier, and they are still running well, and I just still use them, not every day, but when I have to. Planing a blade is not so my favorite thing in lutherie, but from experience I can tell you it's so much better having a sharp plane than a dull one. It's a real time saver. Now I'm going to shape up my blade, and then I will continue the work with my plane. And if you hear this whistling sound, then you know you did a good job. Everything that you have seen till this point, these are days of work. I always cover my workbench overnight because sometimes it gets really rainy here in this area. Maybe it looks like this is all done in one day. No, I worked on this instrument for days now, and the next half of the video will also be the same amount of time. I'm not 100% sure, but I would say it's about 1 week of work compressed in 1 hour of watch time. just to give you an idea how much work this is. Now it's time to get out the heavy guns, and this plane was donated me from an old carpenter. He passed away, I think, like 10 years ago, and it's still working great. So let's make this crisscross planing, and this is a technique that I use often to get a really flat surface. So let's chop off this piece of wood because it reduces the surface that I have to plane. Sometimes you have to make the decision, is it more easier to plane or is it more easier to cut something away? If you're doing this by hand, this is really essential to make the correct choice. It can really save you a lot of time, and the effort that you have to put in physically can be drastically reduced if you make the correct choice. I'm not sure about it, but I just will give it a try. Now I have to play in the other side of the plank, and while being totally into this work, I forgot to charge up the batteries of my microphone, and therefore, for the next section, you won't have any background noise. And I decided to just let music rule, and this is my workshop song. I hope you like it. So this took me hours of hard physical work to get the side of the plank even. But I'm totally satisfied. But back to the music, everything is played, composed and recorded by myself on self-made instruments. And back in the days I did a lot of music. I was actually a musician, and after I graduated in 1997 on the Luthier School in Bavaria, I was on the road for about 2 or 3 years, just making my living with music. It was a great time with a lot of experience. But then I get back to my Luthier Craftsmanship. And I have to say, if you ask me, what is more important for you, music or craftsmanship? I would say, without being a musician before, I will never become a luthier. And after hours of fine planning on this side of the plank, I'm quite satisfied with the result. It's a really nice flat surface. And now I'm gonna draw on the outer contours of my body on this plank. And I'm talking because my microphone just quit the second time I ran out of the battery. And to be honest, I'm just therefore doing this voiceover because for me it's totally irritating if there is no background noise. If you see some guys repairing stuff and there's no sound, it's totally weird. So I hope I have bridged the gap at this point, and now let's continue the work. What's coming up next? Planning. Here is a quite inconvenient solution, but you have to improvise if you're building a guitar without electricity, all in the nature. Actually, I have to admit, I use this technique also in my workshop. I always sand my instruments on sandpaper that it's sticked on massive stones. Why I'm doing that? Because you can be sure that a stone is 100% even. In this case, this is a broken stair step where I glue on sandpaper and then I rub the plank over the sandpaper, and you can be sure that the surface you will produce is 100% even. It's quite time consuming and really hard work, but it works perfectly. So after marking the last cutouts that I will do in this video, I have to transfer on the points where I have to stop with the saw to get not too deep into the wood. And therefore I'm going to use a drill. Of course not an electric one, I'm going to use a hand drill. I have to admit, this was really fun to do and it works very good. So I have transferred one point from the one side of the plank to the other one of the plank, and now I can make the cutout without being in worry to cut too deep and mess this up. So at this point, I want to say thank you to everybody who is watching this video till the end. Thanks for spending your time and for your interest in my luthier craftsmanship. At this point, I want to say, if you want to support my channel, feel free to buy one of my guitar setup courses. You can find the link in the description below or in the right corner of this video. And if you haven't done it already, feel free to subscribe to this channel, because this is just the first part of my Building an Electric Guitar Without Electricity series. The second part of this series will be released next Friday at 6 p.m. So feel free to activate the notification bell so you don't miss it. It will be amazing if you share my content, because I think this is really a unique project and everybody who is into craftsmanship, into woodworking, will really enjoy this content. Thanks for watching, enjoy your life, make music, and see you the next time.